living in the routine instead of always chasing after something new. When I was a teacher, I would see this all the time in students, right? Especially students that after finishing middle school at this one school I taught at Masters Academy, they couldn't wait to see the grass that was greener on the other side in a new school, a new high school. And it was always the craze. Oh, something new. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. And unfortunately, they've learned to find out that, the new thing gets old pretty quick. And we're constantly sometimes chasing after new experiences, new things, instead of being content in the routine. So my question for you guys is, what does it look like to be content in the routine of life instead of chasing after new things, but at the same time, being ambitious, dreaming big, and chasing after new things? So here's an example to give you guys some more context on this. I've heard a pastor talk about at his church that there is constantly going to be a new season that they're going to walk into. And I don't doubt his heart in it. I don't doubt his expectations, because the Lord does big things. We got to dream big. But sometimes when I hear people say constantly, God is going to do a new thing, I ask, what was wrong with the old thing? What was wrong with what we've been doing? Why do we got to do a new thing? And I get the heart behind it, that God is doing new things and exciting things, but he doesn't give us the buffet every time. Sometimes it's just the daily bread, right? The manna, yeah, manna from heaven. So that's kind of the topic I want to talk into. So what does it look like to be content in the routine, but also chase after the new and spectacular?
David?
Did you say that too?
Synchronized.
Yeah, that was pretty cool, you guys. Well, I would say it's kind of back to what I was harping back to what I was saying before, just the thankfulness. I think that's a big key impact or important role when it comes to being content. Because you're not going to be content unless you're like trusting in God and being thankful for what he's already given you. If you're always want something new, that means you don't like what you have now. And so that thankfulness has to be there. And I remember in high school, the same thing that you're talking about, James, like classmates and upper and lower classmates always want to go to Vero or want to go somewhere else, or after high school want to go to a specific college and do this and that, or travel or whatever it may be. And I remember always just like talking with them, kind of saying the same thing. I'm like, there may be things that you like at other schools or other opportunities and stuff like that, but you also lose things. And I've always been appreciative of the school that I went to, Masters, and enjoyed my time. And yeah, there were things I didn't like, but you're going to have that everywhere. And so to only look at the positives at other places is going to keep you from being thankful for what you have where you're at right there and now. And just for instance, like when I went to Masters, I was like, because it's a smaller school, they don't have as many electives, and I always wanted to do, I love learning, so I've always wanted to learn like how to work on cars and how to cook, how to do finances. Like those were classes I wanted to take in high school, but because it was at Masters, we didn't have any electives like that. So, I mean, in that instance, I could have been bitter and said, oh man, I want to go to Vero or someplace like that where I can't take those classes. But you kind of have to weigh the options. Like, yeah, if I did that, I'd be going to a much bigger school and this and that. And I liked having a smaller school and being able to know everybody. And I knew people 4 years above me, 4 years below me, like these guys. And so I felt like I just liked Masters much better. And I just felt like a lot of people at Masters didn't really think that way and weren't thankful for the aspects of Masters that they did like. And that's just like in everything else. I mean, not being thankful for the good things that you have now will keep you discontent for what you want.
It's good. I call you Alex. It's good, David. Alex or
Alex, yeah.
Joe.
Alex. I think like finding what the motive is and why you want change is important.
It's good.
Because I don't think change is bad, and I don't think doing new things is bad, but I think if you have the perspective of I need to do something new because the old thing is not making me feel good, or it's not making me feel the way I want to feel, I feel like that's dangerous. But when you do something new because you want to improve on something or because you want to make something better, I don't think it's a bad thing. Now, like, there's definitely different... I do believe that there are seasons in our lives, but I don't think it's a new season every time because, you know, you go through something and it's not just going to be, you know, you go through it and you're never going to have that part of your life ever again. It's still going to be there, but it's just going to look a little bit different. You know, like I'll eventually, not right now, but eventually I'm going to be moving to Okeechobee. Now, I don't really want to move to Okeechobee, but it's where I'm called to.
Mm.
So I think it's like that change is good because it's beneficial to, you know, what my calling is, even though it's not something that I want to do.
Mm.
Now, my perspective in it is not that I don't like it here. You
Mhm.
know, I love staying in Vero. I love being around people who I know. But it's a perspective of I want to further God's kingdom and I want to be used in this area. So God's calling me, so I should answer. You
Mm.
know. So I think it's you have to make sure your heart is right in it and why you want change and why you think you need change.
Mm.
Because we don't all need change. You know, we just have to be content in where we're at by knowing why we're doing it.
That's good.
If we don't know why we're doing what we're doing, then obviously we're not going to be happy. There's no purpose. We're not going to be happy. So finding purpose in what you're doing, like David was saying with Masters, like, you know, he wanted the small group or the thing. He found the things that he liked about it, and it overweighed. That's not the right word, but like overpowered the negative things.
OP.
Oh, so the positive things about that kind of outweighed. That's the word I was looking for. Outweighed the negative. So then he saw the benefit and not the negative things.
You saw long-term gain over
Exactly.
short-term gain.
Yeah. He saw the his purpose in it was to enjoy the things that he liked, even though he was missing out on some things. It for his purpose it was better.
That's good.
Well, what you were saying too is another big thing. Is what's your why and everything,
Yeah.
and like hovering back to like where you want to go off to college or something like that. There's so many people I remember just like talking about, oh, I want to go here and like start new, or like I want to go to this college and do whatever. But that was like, all right, what are you gonna study? What are you gonna study? What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
And they didn't have their why for it. I'm like, okay, so you're wanting to go somewhere new, and this isn't just in college. It's just like in general life. Think about like, oh, I want to move somewhere else, or I want a new job so I can start new or whatever. It's like, okay, you want to go somewhere and try and start new, but what is your soul like? Is your soul content? Because the exterior isn't going to change the interior. So like if
So
you're
true.
trying to change how you feel on the inside based off of the people you're around and the experiences you have and the places you go and the people who aren't around, all this type of stuff, it's not going to change anything. That's the thing you have to deal with yourself, and that you can do anywhere.
That's good.
I definitely relate with that because like that was me my senior year. Like I was so ready to leave Masters. That's where I went high school. Like pushing, barely went to school. Like rushed everything. Was so excited to leave finally.
You weren't excited to leave my class,
That's
were
what
you?
I did, and now he's back.
extra excited.
Can't wait.
Yeah. I just was like ready to get out of there. Like I've like been going there since 7th grade. Like same thing over and over again. Like I just want to escape. Not like I had big, fabulous dreams or want to go anything. I was gonna go to the community college, not even 5 minutes away. But
You really want to get out of here.
I just wanted,
running away.
I just wanted to get out of Masters. I wanted to pursue my career that I thought I wanted, and then like I feel like God basically kind of laughed at me. Was like, you're trying to rush my plan, and then he kind of plopped me right next door at the church, which is really connected to the school.
It is ironic, actually. That's funny.
Yeah, like
never
I
thought
think about it
that.
all the time, and I always tell people it's like I was rushing what I think God's plan was for me, and it still worked out in His way because I'm still here. And like if anything, it's in favor of my own self because it strengthened my relationship with Christ, and it comes back to that contentment. I wasn't content with what I had because I wasn't thankful, or I wasn't appreciative, or I wasn't pursuing a relationship with Christ as much as I should have been. I was doing what I would consider a lukewarm Christian was doing. I was doing just enough to like appease my soul for a bit, like short term. But it wasn't until like I started taking my relationship seriously that I realized that like, man, I had it good. Like I had it so good there, and I really wasn't missing anything out. And even though I think I did rush my senior year, I still look back and I was like, I did do a lot, and I still appreciate a lot of things. But it's just funny, like no matter how much you try to rush what you have in store, what you think is better, the bigger, better plan, God kind of I think has a way of being comedic and kind of rubbing it in our face, and it's like who's really in control.
Yeah, that's so true. Wow, Joseph, thanks for sharing that. All you guys' thoughts. That was awesome. But that testimony, right? If you're constantly chasing after the new experience, or man, if you're just chasing new for the sake of chasing new, really check your motives, right? Check your contentment level. The outside exterior is not going to change the interior. And then, man, because sometimes we miss out on something incredible because we're looking forward to the next season. We miss the season we're in, right? Just use my example, right? I can't wait for the day that I'm married, right? Woohoo, can't wait. If I look so much that newness of being married and have a family, I'm going to miss out on the season that I'm in right now. And if you constantly are looking for that next season, you're going to miss out and you're going to never be content. That's why, unfortunately, the relationships sometimes don't last, marriages don't last, jobs don't last, schools don't last, because we're constantly wanting this new thing that's going to tickle us differently, and it just doesn't, right? You got to be okay with the routine. You got to be okay with maybe the boring sometimes. But then at the same breath, there's times to shake things up, mix things up, and I'm all for that as well. But it's between you and the Lord to decide. Really think through your why.
That's where prayer
I
comes
think
into play.
I think it's interesting, just like what you were saying about being content in your season, because that's the thing is like all of us right now are doing something in our lives that we've never done before. We're all going through things and doing things that we've never done, we didn't do 10 years ago, and we won't do in 10 years. So it's like to enjoy what we're doing now, even if it's like simple stuff.
Yeah.
Because we may not be able to do that ever again.
It's true.
Finding joy in like what we're doing instead of just like, oh, I just need to get through this shift so I can go home and take a nap. Because then it's like, then what? Like in 10 years when you look back on it, and you're like, oh, I just had a terrible time at work. Why was that? Because I was focusing on my future.
Yeah.
I wasn't focusing on my present. I wasn't enjoying the moment.
It's good.
So if I enjoy the moment, then I can look back and say, oh, I had a really good time doing that. So if you don't like enjoy what you're doing right now, then how are you supposed to enjoy anything ever?
It's good.
Yeah, I mean, I can think of a lot of instances where like people. I mean, I was just thinking of like when I was in school, but also people I was talking to. It was just like like you said, not enjoying or not trying to have fun where they're at, because like Vero gets the reputation of like Zero Beach and always want to leave, and everybody always wants to leave. I'm like, it's kind of the reason why I got into surfing is just to enjoy the fact that I'm here right now. I've got the beach. Like either you surf or you fish. I'm like, all right, I don't know how long I'll be in Vero, but if 10 years down the road, I'm living somewhere else, and I'm like, oh man, I used to live in Vero, and like, oh, did you go surfing a lot? I'm like, no, never tried it, because I just didn't like it. I was like, that's why I wanted to start, is that way I can have the ability to look back at my life. I'm like, oh yeah, I really appreciated that time in my life where I got to live in Vero, and I had the ability to go surfing every day. It's only 10 minutes away, and I just see a lot of people in life, because they don't like where they're at, they think they can't have fun, whether it be like at work or something like that. It's just like, oh, I'm at work, I can't have fun here. And then they self-impose that thought on them, and now they can't enjoy their shift. Whereas if you're like, all right, I'm at work, let's make the best of it. Yeah. Then you can, have laughs or whatever it may be. It really is all about perspective.
There's this quote by this great guy.
Oh, oh gosh.
It's not really. It's just like, you should live life to the fullest. It's people say it a lot. YOLO. Right? But like, it's so true, because Jesus could come back at any moment. So like, if you are waiting to do something, why not just do it? Like, if you have the ability to do it and the time to do it, just do it. Because then what? Like, if you miss your opportunity, then you can never say you did that. And that's the thing too, is like, just do what you can. Enjoy life, because if you're miserable, if you're suffering because you're worried and anxious, then what's life then?
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Amen.
There you go.
Amen.
It's good.
I think LeBron James once said that. No.
LeBron James. Yeah. Yeah. Give it up for LeBron James in his 20th season or whatever. Yeah. It's so true though, guys. And that's my challenge to you guys, Thriving Divers, is that you take advantage of the season you're in. I remember, guys, honestly, it's just so funny, because people are always thinking of the next thing. Not always, but a lot of people are. Like when I was a teacher, I'll be asked, oh, when are you going to, upgrade your life and not teach anymore? I'm like,
really? Some people said that?
Students.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, students.
Like,
no, adults. Sorry, my students. Sorry. Yeah, Joseph was like, when are you going to be done with this?
When are you going to quit?
Yeah, when are you going to grow up, get a real job, right? And then even, I feel like I want to be careful. I feel like someone's even said, in the position I am, again, more with the students, not the adults, because adults are more, filtered. But it's like, oh, when are you going to, do something more than youth ministry? It's like,
start working at Chick-fil-A.
Yeah,
get some real purpose.
Yeah, get a real job.
Like
right?
some chicken sandwich.
It's just funny. I was like, I'm so content in where I am, and I reached a point where I wasn't content teaching anymore, And the Lord opened this door for this next season of work, and it was perfect. It was great. I wasn't looking for it. The Lord works in those ways, right? My contentment was starting to wane and teaching. A new opportunity opened up. I walked into it, right? But I wasn't just sitting there every day thinking, oh, when am we done teaching? I can't wait to be done with this assignment, right? No. Find purpose, find passion.
And if you do the things you love, like, the things will come. Whether that's like money, whether that's relationships, whether that's, I don't know, happiness. Like, if you find something that you genuinely enjoy and you dedicate that time to it, and you take time to excel at it, then the things will come. I think that's what's most important. For James, that's what works. He spent all of his time, spent all of his practices, and it might seem to some people useless. It's like, why would you want to be a school teacher? Why would you want to be in the youth ministry? Because some people like can't see what other people want, and that's okay. Because you don't have to want what your brother has, but it's that idea of being happy for what they have, but also at the same time find something that you are happy about, that you want to do, that you want to live the rest of your life in or do.
Yeah. Matthew 6:33 says, "But seek first the kingdom of God and His righteousness,
and
all these things will be added to you."
It's good. And I think it goes back to what you said. You know, sometimes we're gonna have to do things we don't want to do because the Lord leads us to do it.
Yeah.
So we gotta weigh in that factor as well with your Okeechobee, for example. Like I'm passionate about whatever you're doing, but it's like, oh Lord, really Okeechobee? It's like, ooh. Sometimes that's gonna happen.
I like what you're saying about just like, that's what reminded me of the verse was, you know, just like, if you just do the things that God's given you and you excel in them and you do the best that you can, then God will open the door for more things. You know, like, I never planned on moving to Okeechobee. I never planned on planting a church in Okeechobee. I didn't even ask to plant a church in Okeechobee.
Yeah. It's like, I can't wait to plant a church in Okeechobee.
That was never in life plan. That was never in the goal. It was never even the goal to plant a church or to move anywhere. I was going to stay in Vero, work at Oceans or whatever. That was my plan. But then, like, you know, God kind of changed it and led me to this, gave me this opportunity. And I didn't ask for it, but I was just doing what God had told me to do with what I had and was working with what I had. Just as you were teaching, you were just doing what you had and being content in that. Then God gave you the opportunity to you know, work at the church. And I think it's interesting if we just let God do it.
Just let God be God.
Let God.
For real.
Let God be God.
Man makes their plans, but God directs our steps.
Yeah.
It's pretty clear in the
you
Bible.
realize that.
Seek God, and the things will come. I think that's pretty simple. I think it's a good life plan to me.
So,
Obedience shows faith.
When did you find out that you were going to be doing that? Because I didn't know that.
It was in May.
Everybody knows that.
Everybody knows that.
May? So you knew this for a year?
Yeah.
Dang.
I found out.
Glad you guys were
Make
close
a friend,
friends.
yeah.
It was in like May of like, it was like the last weekend of May that I found out that I was doing this. And then we started in November.
Oh, okay.
So.
Dang.
Gotcha.
It's good.
Well, I was just going to say, too, I think God realized, like, God knows us, and He knows He knows the nature of man that we do not like to do the same thing all the time. Like, it would drive us crazy if we did the same thing our whole life. So He gives us that variety when we need it, but He also teaches patience. So like you said, if we're discontent or in our moment and we're not doing what God has called us to do, He's going to teach us to be patient, even if He wants us to necessarily go or move somewhere else or do something different. Sometimes patience is more important.
Patience and faithfulness, right?
Yeah.
Be faithful
Yeah,
in the little things. You know, sometimes we're wanting this big assignment. God's like, no, I'm not giving you that big assignment, right? I'm going to want you to be faithful in the little one in the season you're in.
I don't want to get into predestination, but God has, you know, planned out our lives in a sense.
Gosh.
And,
What do you mean by that?
You know,
It's only funny because I joked around about it before the camera started rolling.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't hear that.
yeah. But anyways, just like God, the things in your life that you go through and things that you do, the jobs that you have or the ministries that you are involved in, like ultimately will prepare you for what God has called you to.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen in my life how like the little things that I've done that I thought were just like a waste of time, or I was like not even a waste of time, but they were difficult or just like kind of annoying to deal with. I'm now realizing that, oh, that was for this. Like I needed that. I needed to go through that. I needed to learn that so I could do this. You know, like some things like I run the tech for youth at Oceans, and the reason I got into it is because the person who was doing it like left, and I just had to figure it out.
Yeah.
So I didn't want to do tech, to be honest, but that was helpful for now because now I run tech at the church.
Yeah.
So it's
true.
like
It's funny how that works.
I didn't want to do
sometimes.
that, but God
Sounds
knew
relatable.
that was my
I was like, these guys are- Hey, you're gonna be running
Almost too
Tech and
useful.
Okeechobee in a
But
couple years.
you never know what God has planned for you. So like, be excellent.
Yeah.
Do the things that you are given,
Yeah,
and you might even just do more of that in the future. You never know.
it's good. It's very
Or
awesome.
even the things that you're not necessarily proud about. God uses as lessons.
It's
too.
true. Testimonies are
Yeah.
powerful.
It's good. Wow. Well, guys, I'll say a round of applause. Wow.